This is Captain Blackton here, and I'm going to show you my Ender farm, actually Ender Pearl farm, which harvests Endermen. I'm actually here in the end. We killed the Ender Dragon, sorry. I was doing a little experimenting here. I was actually wondering if you could build a nether portal in the end, but you apparently can't. I tried lighting it and nothing happened. But I built a little base here in the end. I made the roof 2 blocks high so the Enderman can't get in and mess up my dirt. They like stealing your dirt out from under your plants, I've noticed. So I have this little walled-in farm here. And I have lots of ender pearls. So I'm going to show you my farm that I built, which harvests them. I actually did some experimenting. Oh, this is all the snow. I put some snowmen in a little, like a little booth here, which is to protect them from the Endermen. But it has a gap here where they can shoot out snowballs at the Endermen. There's actually no Endermen around here, so I guess they've been doing their job. But somehow they've been glitching out of this booth. I think these half blocks are pretty glitchy. So several of the snowmen have escaped and they're running around smearing snow on the ground. But anyway, I'm going to show you my Ender Pearl farm. As I was building this, well, there's a couple things to consider when you're building a mob farm. And the main thing is actually the mob cap, which is the limit that the game puts on how many mobs can spawn in a given area. The area, I believe, is I believe it's 8 chunks out in every direction. So it'd be 8 to the right and left, and plus the chunk that you're in. So I think that adds up to 17 chunks, like a 17 chunk. I think it's spherical though, although I could be wrong. But either way, the important thing is that within that area, only a certain number of mobs can spawn, which is the cap. And that cap is actually met pretty quickly because it's every tick of the game, which a tick is a 20th of a second. So every 20th of a second, a cluster of mobs can spawn. So very quickly, your area of the game that you're in can fill up with mobs. So the trick then is to limit the blocks where the mobs can spawn to so that they can only spawn exactly where you want them, which is right inside your trap. But that can actually be very annoying to do because in order to prevent them from spawning, you need to either put torches down on every single block or use half blocks, half slabs, or glass or something that they can't spawn on. But you have to do that everywhere. I mean, you'd have to go down inside of caves and every single available spawning surface within a pretty large area. Because if you think one chunk is 16 by 16 blocks, so that's 256 blocks in a chunk. But then it's 17 chunks by 17 chunks. So, and then vertically it goes up 256. So it comes out, I can't think of the math offhand, but it comes out to a lot of blocks you have to cover, like probably in the millions or billions. So a much simpler solution, which the end is perfect for, is to go out into the void. And out in the void, you don't have to worry about any of that because they can't spawn anywhere except what you build. And actually, the way I did it, I actually built a half slab pathway out into the void. And as long as you build on the lower half, they can't spawn. If I was building on this upper half with the half slabs, they could still spawn on there. But since I'm on the lower half, they can't spawn. So, and of course, in the void itself, they can't spawn because they need solid ground to spawn on. So that was my trick, but the problem was I wasn't sure if they could teleport onto half slabs. So I did an experiment where I poured water down to force them to teleport away because they hate water. And they actually teleport onto the half slabs. So that solution didn't work. So I did a little research, and I found out that they cannot teleport into water. So what I did is Well, and of course they also can't teleport into any area that's only 2 blocks high. So originally I was building a roof over my passageway to prevent them from teleporting, but the problem then is they can just teleport onto the roof. So when you're trying to trap them and kill them, they'll just teleport away onto your pathway or onto the roof of the pathway, and then it defeats the purpose. So the solution that I came up with was actually to cover... Oh, let me turn my view distance up. I'm actually playing on a netbook, so I have the graphics setting way down. Okay, there you go. So I actually built a roof over the pathway and then covered that in water. So they can't teleport onto the roof of my path because there's water there, and they can't teleport inside the path because it's less than 3 blocks tall. So I can walk underneath and be protected from the water by this roof, and they cannot get underneath. So I actually had to cover everything out here with water. If you look at that, you can see it's just covered in water, like a sheath of water around it. So what I did, I built this walkway over 128 blocks out, which is the maximum distance that mobs will spawn within. And actually anything outside of that, they'll despawn. So once I'm out here, all the mobs on the main island are actually instantly despawning, which means that there's no mobs. So the mob cap rate is not a problem right now at all, because there's no mobs at all. So what I did, this is actually my... Well, I'll just show it to you, and then I'll put it into action, and you can see how it works. Oh, there's actually one in here right now. So I built these channels, which are 3 high. So this is actually the only place where the mobs can spawn, is inside this channel. But then I have a circuit which flushes this little channel here with water every couple seconds. So a few Endermen will spawn, and then water will flush them down this pathway. And actually, Endermen are not only afraid of water, but it actually hurts them. So this not only channels the Endermen down towards my hopper, which collects the Ender Pearls, but the water also kills them. So you sort of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. See, he already died from the water. And then the water washes the Ender Pearls down into my hopper, and then it goes into the chest. Actually, it didn't go into the chest. I don't know why. I don't know what happened to it. Oh, I guess I took it because I was standing there. Okay, so I'll quickly show you my circuit. All I did was use redstone repeaters, and I set them on the slowest setting. You just click them, and it cycles through the settings. Well, if you're going to be building this, you need to learn about redstone. So I just built a whole bunch of these in a big circle, and the redstone current just flows through them in a circle. And you can see the off cycle. So when it gets to this the section where it's off, the sluice gate actually... Well, the sluice gate is just a... Let me see if I can get to it. I don't know if I can get to it right now. Oh, you know what? I can go up through the channel where the Endermen are, and you can see it from there. So this redstone circuit just goes up here, and there is a piston up here, which I use as a sluice gate. And when the piston is powered, it cuts off the water. And then when the power cuts off, the piston closes up and the water can flow out. So let me just go back there and you can see the piston at work. So it's very simple. Just a redstone circuit where the current flows through, and then a piston and a source water. And then the whole area has to be covered in water, as I said, in order to keep them from being able to teleport away. So they actually have nowhere to teleport to except inside this channel, but the channel keeps getting flushed with water and then they die. Alright, so there's my piston. Well, the water keeps flowing me. There you see. So the piston turned on and it cuts off the water. And then in a second it's going to turn off and let this source water flow out. There you can see it flowing out. So if I was an Enderman, I would be getting pushed down. Well, if I'm not an Enderman, I'm being pushed down anyway. And then eventually the water shuts off. So probably about 2 flushes and it'll push them all the way down to the end. And by that time they'll probably be almost dead. So I don't think I've looked at this guy. I should be safe walking past him. So that's how it works. The other thing to keep in mind when you're using a mob farm is that you actually need to be a certain distance away for them to spawn in the first place. And I believe that number is 24. You need to be at least 24 blocks away, although I've seen different sources that have said different things. But in any case, I built a path going further out into the void, which is also covered in water to protect it from Endermen teleporting onto it. And this pathway is just over 24 blocks away. I have a little room where I can hang out and craft things if I need to. And basically, I can just go to sleep at night with my game running, and in the morning, I just go and open up the chest, and it's completely full of ender pearls. So just in that 20 seconds that I was sitting in that little room, we'll come back here and see how many Endermen have spawned. Probably a couple. Yeah, I hear some dying in there. Oh, not really. But it works pretty fast. I did a test, and I was getting about 1 ender pearl every 10 seconds. Although that was actually when I just had this half. I hadn't built this half yet. So theoretically I'll be getting more. One thing to be aware of is that the mob cap is based on the number of chunks that mobs can actually spawn in. So in this case, most of these chunks mobs cannot spawn in because it's just void. So what I did was I built this mob farm right on the border between 2 chunks. So I don't know if you could see the coordinates here, but I'm actually at Z256. So this side is in one chunk, this side is in a different chunk. And also in this dimension, I built it at, well, here's 22, 21. So if I go this way just a few blocks, 16, I'm in the next chunk. So on this side, I go over into one chunk a little bit, and then this side I go through a whole chunk. And then the other end goes into the third chunk by a few blocks. So I basically get 1, 2, 3 spawnable chunks on this side, and then 1, 2, 3 on this side. So I placed it so that I can have the maximum number of chunks, spawnable chunks, or chunks where mobs can spawn, with the least amount of effort. I mean, I could have built this whole mob farm within 1 or 2 chunks, but I sort of put it right on the edge between chunks so that it would sprawl over several different chunks, and I'd get the mob cap raised and make the trap more efficient. So let me come back out of here just to show you what I was saying about the maximum distance at which mobs can spawn. When I get back to the mainland, you're going to see a lot of Endermen right on the edge, and that's because they can only spawn within a certain distance from me. So when I was way out there, they couldn't spawn anywhere on the rest of the island except for very close to me. So you just see crowds of Endermen all right along this edge here where they could actually spawn. Well, I don't want to actually look at them in the eye and anger them, but you see all the Endermen are crowding right along the edge here. So that's just to illustrate the point that mobs can only spawn within that certain radius around you. If that radius was bigger than 128, then they would be further back, but you notice they're only right on the edge of that, the periphery of that area as I came back. Of course, now that I'm back, they're going to start spawning further out here. But it'll take a little... Well, basically, these ones here will have to despawn first, so I'd have to get away from them so that they can despawn, and then new Endermen will spawn in other areas. But notice how there's no Endermen over here, because the whole mob cap was filled up. Well, I guess those are starting to despawn now, and now there's new ones spawning over here. So if you look in... Well, I guess I already showed you this chest, but this was last night. I filled up this whole chest. Well, actually, it was really just an hour or two that I had it running, and then my computer disconnected from the network. So that is my Ender Pearl farm, and I'll show you some other farms that I've built on other videos. Alright, thanks for watching.